Alright guys, welcome back to the channel. So, what do we have on the workbench today? Well, let me bring you through a little process that for the last couple days, this Tease guitar has been a real pain in the ass. And I mean that literally. So, I was coming back to the Tease guitar because I wanted to put my Joe Satriani pickups to use. But the more I thought about it, the more I wasn't that comfortable anymore with the fact that the Joe Satriani pickups, the loaded pickguard, is worth more than the whole guitar. It just didn't make sense. It's like those pickups, they belong in a very high end quality type guitar. This is a very intermediate entry level guitar, so I decided that I would take out the pick guard, and I so happened to buy some pickups from Temu. I wanted to try it. I had a black pick guard with some orange pickups, HSS, and of course they sounded like shit. But you just never know, because I have a couple telly type pickups I got from Temu that I have on my Firefly telly, and they sound fantastic. So the issue that I had with this guitar is I have about, I don't know, I want to say close to 18 pick guards from all kinds of different guitars that I've worked on, and I've always either have saved the pick guards, or I have just purchased new ones and haven't used them. I have a few that have a Floyd Rose cutout, and I just couldn't get for the life of me a pick guard to really fit and line up with these holes. And there's still a little gap, but you can barely see it here. So for the Tease guitar, good luck if you're trying to fit a loaded pick guard, because it will not be easy. I have genuine Fender pick guards, and I have some off the wall ones, and this one is definitely not a genuine Fender. It's why I believe it's actually fits right. But the hole back here in this one corner, which I'm going to take out, actually doesn't even fit because there's no material there. There's just no wood in this corner. So I've been trying to rectify it. I probably would have to glue a piece of wood underneath there, and but is that even worth the hassle? The answer would be no. So this is where I've settled. Now this particular setup, I was just about to, like, I hooked it all up, and then I had a standard Fender three-way selector, and I got it all wired up with these Temu pickups, humbuckers, and again, fuck, it wouldn't fit in the cavity. So your regular Fender selector, 5-way, 3-way, will not fit in these Tease guitars. So like anything, I have boxes full of stuff, new and used, and it was a new import switch. It's pretty good, but then I had to go to the internet, and because I hate these fucking imports, man. They're just like, and they're not all the same, by the way. Some of them have 6 lugs, some of them have 8 lugs. So I was over here, like, trying to figure out exactly which lugs were right, and then kind of twist it. So initially I had this, I had this was over here, and then there was really nothing, but I didn't even have it wired right. I got where I needed to get eventually. It didn't take me long to figure out, okay, I got it backwards. So and they're not really that complicated, but you just have to know, like, when you look at an import switch, they just kind of throw you off because you're not used to them. You're used to your standard 5-way. But with the selector switches, there's just so many different ways to approach an import switch also, and it just throws you off like, it just did for me. So with that being said, I wanted to share with you what else I had been doing. Let's take a walk to the studio. Yeah, I did a little rearranging in here. I'll tell you what's been really bothering me for the last 5 months is this Roland JC40 amp. This thing's been sitting in the fucking closet, man. And the reason is because I didn't have anywhere to put it. So I was really fucking bumming. Like, I paid, how much? I got this on Sweetwater. So I paid a good price for it, Stereo input, it's their newest version of the JC120, but it's a killer fucking amp. So, with the way that I had the bed over here in the middle, I kind of cut myself off because the bed actually came right here. Pretty much. Right where the chair is. And I thought about the room. I'm like, man, this is bullshit. I got to get more room in here. So I got rid of the TV. So last week, man, I just went, okay, so this is what we're going to do. I'm going to put the bed over here. It's not the ideal situation, but I'm going to make it work. I'll put the nightstand over there. I won't have my little nightstand where you can reach over and, turn off your clock or have whatever. So I kind of bunched these two together. But with all of that adjustment, I gained all of this extra room. And then I cut a little bit of the carpet all along down this black line so you can't even tell, but it's all flush, so the chair will move across both sides of the carpet, no problem. But I gained like almost 3.5 feet, and then I had the TV on this shelf, and I was like, that's exactly what I need to put the amp on. In fact, I need to find a better shelf because I think my Black Star amp I could fit inside of a type of cabinet, have an amp on top and an amp in the middle. And that would really help me to utilize, at least get to playing those amps more. But that one especially, and then I had a couple little pieces, like I'm going to buy some more of this soundproofing stuff. But what also happens is now with this change, I can actually hang up a few guitars on the wall, which, I just like, man, I just need more room. And so with that change, which was a real pain in the ass, when you have to move things around, especially on these carpet because this has a hard floor. But gaining the extra space is really nice. So if I have somebody come over and jam, we can both have plenty of leg room. And I could be over here, they could be over there. I can have a couple of guitars on the wall, and it just makes way more sense. But yeah, it was really bugging me, guys. So now that I got all that kind of done, I still got a couple of guitars underneath the bed, and then I put my computer little shelving in the closet. I'm just trying to make sense of this stupid room so that I could have more. And then, of course, I got all that in there. Got more junk in there. Computer stuff up there. So I'm inviting you into my little studio. But yeah, I just wanted to share with you guys. But hey, let's bring the Tease guitar over to the new studio, and we'll just give it a listen, because actually those pickups from Temu, I only paid like $12 a piece for them, but they don't sound that bad. So, let me push pause. Through the magic of pause, we'll be right back. Hold on. All right, welcome back to the studio with the Tease guitar and this ugly white pickguard and two Temu humbuckers, both being channeled through two 500K pots. I think these pots were from a Firefly. So definitely a parts guitar. I did upgrade the bridge, so it's got a big block in there, and hey, it is what it is. This guitar, even though it's an entry level guitar, it still has good playability. Uh, uh, the CNC machine didn't do a good job of cutting exactly everything to spec. So like I told you, if you have one of these and you're gonna mod it, definitely be aware that you will run into some issues. That's for sure. Because with all the pickguards that I have, there was only like two that kind of really lined up with the holes, and that it wasn't gonna have to drill anything new. And if you're gonna get a pickguard, probably don't get a Fender. It's not gonna fit. Try some freaking other Chinese thing. So $12 humbuckers, imported switch, Timu. Yeah, so this is where it sounds. This is the bridge. The treble all the way up. Middle position. They actually sound pretty good. Neck. It's pretty hot because I'm getting a lot of that bottom end, and I did lower the humbucker in the neck. I don't want it to be like, when you're playing clean, it starts to get sort of muddy, like real fast. So I'm trying to avoid that. And yeah, these strings I have on here are pretty crappy, I think, because I've been loosening and tightening. I don't know how many times. I think I've gone through this whole Frankenstein operation probably about 6-7 times now, with the soldering of the HSS, taking them out, then thinking about what could I do next, because I'm going to send those pickups back to Timu. I'm like, I don't want that. They sound horrible. Some of the worst pickups, definitely. Now these ones I've been sitting on for about 6 months. I haven't, and there's another pair like it, and they're the offset with the cream and the black, and I'm sure they're going to sound just as similar. So these ones are actually pretty good. Bright, chimey. let's get a little bit on the dirty side, and we'll take a listen to that. You know, one thing about this Tease guitar is the neck profile is well, it's a little bit thicker than your standard C shape, but it kind of fights me a little bit, you know. I don't know what it is, but I feel like it's definitely I'm fighting it more than another guitar. That don't sound good. Not bad. I mean, my expectations for what has taken place or what has come to what it is now, it's kind of like where I think it should be. You know, an entry level guitar with entry level pickups. But at least with these, you can rock out. I mean, the Tease single coils, you know, they weren't for shit. If you wanted to, they just weren't gonna cut the mustard. Why is that even a phrase? Can you cut mustard? Okay, let's do a little bit of the middle. It's got that out of phase kind of thing in there too. I like that. Yeah, they're a bit muddy. Let's do a little bit of that neck. let's throw a little bit of Crybaby on it. A little bit of the bridge. So it's got some decent crunch in there, decent harmonics. It's really all, it's coming from the pickups. How about the middle position? I think that's gonna do the wrap, guys. But yeah, so the Temu guitar has been modded with a bunch of cheap Chinese shit. But the overall results are, I would say, I'm okay with this. Definitely better than the other ones that I have purchased. The HSS with the black pickguard and orange, it was really popping. But man, they sounded really much like shit, man. And this, I can sit down and really kind of enjoy it for what it is. Entry level, intermediate sort of guitar. It doesn't have the high end of a lot of things, but it's still a very good playable guitar. And it came set up, and I think I got the locking tuners for free on this model. I think Torsen I think some guys were saying, you can order them with locking tuners. I don't know if I ordered it with locking tuners, but that's the way it came. Yeah. But, I did put some nut lube, you know, cum lube on the nut. Not those nuts. This nut. But overall, you know, it's not. It definitely doesn't look pretty now. But maybe I'll invest. I'll try to find another. See, that's the problem now. Is no matter what pick guard I get, there's no guarantee it's gonna fit. So I'm just using what I have, you know, in spare parts here. So just kind of lined up fine, and just gonna leave it like that. Because not everything, you know, always happens the right way. And this particular guitar, yeah, none of the Fender pick guards lined up at all. Zero. So this one definitely is not a Fender genuine pick guard. So that's those imported pick guards. They're probably the ones that will line up with this body because you know, they're inferior to the real deal. So, but other than that, I'm pretty content with the sound and where it is. You know, and for what it is. And this is kind of where I wanted it to be. I didn't want to have $200 you know, pickups sitting in this guitar. That just didn't make sense to me. Those Joe Satriani pickups, they just belong in a different body, you know, something that's maybe got a solid ash, alder, maybe a roasted flame maple neck, something different, but definitely not this guitar. And so, yeah, I'm definitely content with where it is. And again, if you're thinking of putting only an import switch is going to work in here, guys. This Wilkinson lined up pretty much on the nose. It has that big block trem, just your standard big block. It's not the brass one. And so yeah, hey, well, thanks for stopping in. Drop your comments about what you think about the Temu humbuckers. I think they sound pretty good. Like I said, it's always a hit and miss with the Temu crap, even if you shop there. I mean, there's so much crap that I bought from Temu. Some of it was, I want to say 75% of it was good, and the other 25% was pure dog shit, you know. And so, just like these other pickups, I'd rather send them back because I just recently bought them, but I was thinking about this guitar as far as upgrading it, but, you know, it didn't work out, so, you know, I had to break up. So those will go back. I'll get back like $30, I guess, with tax. Yeah. And I'm just gonna leave this one alone now. I'm content where this is at. That's all I wanted it to be. So, thanks for stopping in. I got more room in the studio now, so maybe I'll try to get a friend of mine over here. We'll do something a little different, guys. You know, I'm just sharing with you what is a 62-year-old guy who plays guitar, works on guitars, have to say about anything, really. I know there's a lot of guys out there on YouTube land that just want to make this their life. I don't want to do that. I just want to share with you periodically kind of what's up. You know, I'll let all those bozos who demo guitars, who can't play worth a shit, just embarrass themselves and talk about things they just talking out of their ass for the most of it. There's only a few handful of guys that really know what's up, you know. I don't know if you noticed, but a lot of the Firefly guitars that just came in stock, some of them just poof got sold out right away. And there's only so many guitars on the Guitar Garden's website that speak to me, you know. Not all of them. I'm not into that heavy metal spiked kind of stuff. The Strats, you know, there was a few there that I thought, but I think that with the Strats, the bodies are really heavy. I've had a couple of the Firefly Strats, and the bodies can be really heavy, sort of counterproductive, and I ended up sending one back because I just thought the body was just too heavy. I mean, really. And I don't mind a heavy guitar, but sometimes it's just like, yeah, those Strat bodies, because I bought one from a guy, and then I realized later, man, this fucking body is heavy, and I was like, nah, So, you know, this one at least is not heavy. I don't know, I think this is Poplar, could be basswood, I forget what the Tease guitars ones are, but pretty decent wood underneath there. but the Firefly Strats are really heavy. Now, even the Telecaster, um, I don't know what is going to be different about the newer ones that just came out. But yeah, man, a lot of guys jumped on the FFMN. They got sold out right away. The 335 got burned out, and they just restocked that. It's funny when I see, because I'm always checking their inventory just to kind of see what's popping in the market. That George Lynch one, I wouldn't be a fan of that because I see problems with that. So there's only so many guitars on the Firefly website, Guitar Gardens, that speak to me. So I did purchase a Tele from the Guitar Gardens that I hope will be what I hope it to be. You know, it just has more of a vintage look. It's that off-white one, and I'm hoping that it's going to be a good guitar. You know, just for the hell of it. You know, for the price. I mean, I think the word is out. You know, Firefly is definitely a really, really nice guitar for the money. Takes very little work to dial that in, but definitely just a superior guitar to a lot of the other imports. Their pickups are really, really solid now. You know, their tuners, if you get Locky tuners, the wood on the fretboard is really, really good. The compound radius, the stainless steel frets, and some of those guitars came loaded with a brass big block on some of those Strats, and a really nice bridge. So you know they're shopping around. So you don't really get that, you know, from an imported guitar for $300. You know, shit. Fender can't even put a fucking brass block on their guitar. It's not a big block one. They just put some cheap alloy big block. But you know, that's kind of like what the Wilkinson thing is all about too. But they usually have very nice saddles, and they have a new saddle design on their Fireflies. So I'm looking forward to the new Tele. I like it because the neck is different. It's got the abalone dot inlays, and so it'll be easier to play. How would it really sound? I don't know. But now that I have had a lot of time working with them and playing them, I know what I could do to the Tele if I don't like the way that it sounds. There are many options now that I can consider, especially after modding the one that I have. So I'm all for it now. All right, guys. Thanks for stopping in. And as always, have a blessed week.